McMahon going?
A place he knows is trying to get Shane off of the cell. Oh my God! Shane and Owens.
Here we go.
Here we go on top of the cell.
Hockey fight on top of Hell in a Cell.
Oh God!
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Shane fighting his way out of it. It looked like these guys are getting real close to the edge. Oh no! But the top of the cell held up after that.
And again, these two just throwing themselves at each other.
Oh no!
Oh God! Hey, both men about 10 feet down here on the cell. Oh my God!
He's a human being.
Come on.
Kevin Owens has a family too, damn it. Come on.
And again, Shane.
Oh, damn it.
Oh my God!
Sami Zayn just saved Kevin Owens.
For Shane McMahon, who just launched himself 20 feet off the cell. How bad is it for Shane McMahon? What are you doing? Oh, this match is What just happened here? I'm having a real... They're trying to get him on the backboard. Frankly, the same help is needed for Kevin Owens after... Kevin Owens...
Watch that Sami Zayn right there. Watch him.
Sami Zayn just pulls... And watch Sami Zayn again, bottom of the screen, saves.
I can't believe what I just witnessed.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Hey now. Hello, everybody. That little intro right there was was for this guy on Twitter named Just Bleed MMA. He does an MMA and wrestling podcast, kind of like what we do, and he heard ours. And I think he thinks that we're ripping off his intro whenever I say, hey, everybody. But, Joe, you've been doing radio a long time. That's pretty standard, right?
Yeah, it's pretty common. I mean, it's just the easiest way to kind of introduce yourself when no one's looking directly at you and you're talking into a microphone.
Right. So, I guess, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I did check out the beginning of his show, and he does say, hey, everybody. And my hey now, that's more of an ode and a tribute to Howard Stern, who does that on his show each week or each day, and that's his ode and tribute to the Larry Sanders Show that used to be on HBO. So just in case anybody was wondering that. And then hey, everybody is just kind of like my nervous way of how to introduce a show because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a classically trained radio guy. But anyway, hey, you guys are wondering why we're doing this on a Monday. Well, it's because it's Christopher Columbus Day, which is a horseshit holiday. However, federal employees like myself, we get this holiday off. So I'm sitting around the house, I'm doing fuck all, and I'm like, screw it, let's go ahead and talk about Hell in a Cell last night.
Yeah, I mean, perfect. Like, I had nothing going on today. I took off of work also, so might as well. I mean, before everybody gets bored with it, because we're going to have 6 hours of wrestling between now and when we would normally record. So might as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I watched the entire show from start to finish. Well, okay, I take it back. I did not watch the pre-show. I was still watching football at that point. I was watching Aaron Rodgers throw a beatdown on the Dallas Cowboys, and I was real happy about that.
I like you going back and finding Skip Bayless's old tweet from 2015, the Aaron Rodgers unclutched.
Yeah. Yeah, what's funny is I think Richard Deesh from Sports Illustrated. He's a real fun follow on Twitter. He's a wrestling fan too, and he's done some podcasts with Dave Meltzer and Conrad Thompson and some other guys. But he did that, and I couldn't see what it was because after the Niners' last loss, to feel better about myself, I blocked Skip Bayless, just because I knew that would make me happy, and I couldn't see it, so I was like, okay, well, if Richard's making fun of Skip, I want in on this. So I saw the tweet, and I was like, oh, okay, this is too good. So I had to unblock him to retweet that, and that made me feel good again because the Niners are they're 0-5, and we're getting ready to get that number 1 and number 2 overall pick next year. But this is not a football show, so we're going to do a quick Hell in a Cell recap because here in about an hour I'm going to head over to the theater and I'm going by myself. I'm married, so it's not like I'm a loser with no friends. I'm just going by myself because I have the day off, and I guess that'll be me and some 75-year-olds there in the movie theater at 11:30. In the morning watching a movie. But Joe, I really enjoyed this show from start to finish. I thought it was a great show. I think there was only really one match that I didn't think was all that good, and a couple of finishes I wasn't too happy with, but overall I thought it was a very enjoyable show.
Yeah, I mean, the wrestling was, up to par. They paced it and spaced it out well. You could tell which matches they had the heavier emphasis on, which ones were going to do better by the placement of the other matches on the card. But overall, I mean, I wasn't too disappointed with it. If it was back in 2013 and I paid $50 for it, I may have not been too overly happy, but in the $9.99 era, I got my money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked it. It was a cool, fun show to watch. I thought it was a little too long though. If that was my only complaint, was that it's like over here, and I'm sure you experienced worse of this. You're over in the Central Time Zone, and the people on the East Coast probably hated it too. But me, I'm like, it's 8 o'clock, and I'm like, crap. I'm ready to do something else. Why is the show still going on? And it really didn't end till like 8:30, 8:40 here, and then obviously later for you. Yeah,
it was I think around 10:30 out here when the finish actually happened, and I think the logic behind it was, obviously the big spot that we'll get to later. They probably wanted Sunday Night Football to be over by then, and hopefully that people would just tune in directly, watch the live feed. So Sunday Night Football would be over by the time the big spot happened. That's kind of my line of thinking, but maybe. I don't know if that's where they were going with it.
Yeah, who knows what they're thinking? A lot of the times. But sorry. Oh. That's very unprofessional by me. Hold on. I hate when you're clicking on a website and they have a video come up and you can't stop it. It just like you can't pause it, you can't do nothing. It's the advertisements. I understand people got to make money, but come on, let me click off of this crap. Hold on. That's Brian Campbell's voice in the background. I'm just going to get off of that website. I like CBS.com and I like Brian Campbell, but, that was a jerk move on his part. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe. You were talking. I'm trying to pull up the results because I can pretty much do it by memory, however.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the match list, I know exactly who would have won each match last night. There were a couple of matches like I was a little bit disappointed in the women's title match, and at the end of the night they had the big swerve, but I was kind of disappointed that there was nothing too unexpected to happen. I mean, this was SmackDown's first pay-per-view in a while. They really took some time off there, so I was expecting something a little bit more exciting, throughout the show. But overall, really good match quality. I do, think the New Day and the Usos completely stole the show again. I mean, that's just what they've been doing. At some point, you might want to reward those guys with the main event picture.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and start there. The first match, right out the gate. We're going to skip over the pre-show match because I didn't watch it. But the first match, which I think was my prediction for match of the night, was the New Day versus the Usos, and this was a fucking brutal match. It was Brian Alvarez said it perfectly. It was the most violent, brutal match, cage match without blood in the history of cage matches. It was vicious.
Yeah, well, I mean, have you seen pictures from Xavier after the match? I mean, he's just got welts all over his body from the kendo sticks, and the bringing the chains into things, the multiple kendo sticks, and I don't think I've ever seen them really barricade somebody in the corner of the ring.
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be the first time that's happened. And
Yeah.
now it was a little silly because, you know, Uso was like holding his arms down where clearly he could have gotten free at any point, but it still looked cool because
it was a cool
first
visual.
time.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, it's pro wrestling. Sometimes you got to throw logic out the window. That was just a cool visual. I really enjoyed that spot. And I really enjoyed, well, I guess it makes me a sick bastard, but whenever they hung up Xavier Woods by his arms with the handcuffs and they just went wailing on him with those kendo sticks, I was like, I'd been thinking for years, like, when they bring those kendo sticks into the matches, like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, it makes total sense to just, you know, have his bare chest and stomach open and you just whack the shit out of him.
Yeah, and thankfully, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of room for them to really get some torque behind their swing with the cage there. Or else, you know, he might have been in a lot worse shape. But, man, they really went to town on him, and it was awesome to see. And then when he finally got himself free and was using the handcuffs as a weapon while he's still cuffed, you know, I really liked that element to it. And, they steal the show every time, man. It's hard to follow those guys.
Yeah, I know. I really like that. Like, after they got done hitting him, like, a bunch of times with the kendo sticks, and he's just kind of laying there, a couple minutes later, they're beating on Big E, and then Xavier Woods comes into the ring handcuffed, and they just start hitting him again with the kendo sticks, and he just fires up and throws a headbutt at one Uso number one, I guess. I know it's Jimmy and Jay. I just don't know which one is which, but throws a headbutt at one, and then goes to attack the other one, and then eventually they hit their double splash finisher and get the pin. But by far the best match of the show for me. I even tweeted out, I was like, good luck to the rest of the roster, you know, finish or following up this match, because I don't think you're going to top it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They appear to do it all the time where they kind of put the tag match at the front. And I think it's kind of your line of thinking, what you brought up last week on the show, is have it happen first, because then you give the crowd time to settle back in after seeing something so awesome. But honestly, man, it's not going to happen for Survivor Series, but I'm sure SmackDown has a pay-per-view in December. At some point, you got to give those guys the main event, because nobody is going to follow them at this point.
Right? Maybe in December. I don't know. Maybe this tag team feud is over for right now. Maybe they move on to other opponents and then kind of come back together for Royal Rumble, maybe February timeframe, maybe even WrestleMania. But this has been one of the feuds of the year, I would say, in WWE. It's not going to win like overall pro wrestling, but I would say this feud and the Bar versus Rollins and Ambrose in WWE have probably been the two feuds of the year as far as match quality goes. Yeah,
I mean, they've really revitalized the tag team division here within the last year or two, and it all really started when the New Day, you know, came together. But match quality, like the tag team division has consistently had the best matches in WWE. And when you look at the competitors, like looking at their singles careers and then bringing them all together, it makes sense, because all of these guys are fantastic wrestlers, and they're finally just getting to show it. And it's a little bit easier to do that in a tag match, I think, because you're not just yourself for 20 or 30 minutes. You get to have a few minute breaks and keep your stamina up to do some of those crazy spots. Yeah. And we're seeing it all come together for these guys. And tag team wrestling is my favorite wrestling, so it's great to see for me.
Absolutely. And you know, one of my takeaways from this match was Big E is a star. I really think that they could keep him babyface and have him break over into the singles area and have him challenge for the U.S. or the even the WWE title, and just still keep, you know, with the New Day guys, and just have Xavier and Kofi become the tag team, and maybe New Day or Big E breaks off and has a singles career, because he's gotten better and better and better, and he had a lot of fire, and whenever he was just exploding with those suplexes, the crowd was just going apeshit. And whenever he'd pick up one of the Uso guys and just run across, you know, the whole length of the ring and slam him into the cage, that was fantastic.
He makes it look so easy too. I mean, he's so explosive. He's a huge guy, but he has great cardio, and he was great in NXT as a singles competitor, where he used to make the referee count to 4 instead of 3, because it wasn't fair against him that they only got 3 seconds.
Well, he got that from King Kong Bundy. King Kong Bundy used to do that, and he would do the 5 count.
Yeah. but still, like it was something that Big E added for a lot of the younger fans who may not have known.
Right.
It was cool to see. Now, when he first got brought up to the main roster, he was kind of stale. He didn't have a lot of character because they didn't know what to do with him.
Well, and he was Dolph Ziggler. He was Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard, right?
Yeah, they had him be Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard, and then I guess he was AJ Lee's bodyguard for a while. He was kind of in a bad spot in his singles career where he kind of debuted and won the Intercontinental title right as Bad News Barrett came on, and people just loved the Bad News Barrett gimmick so much that anybody...
Yeah, I was one of those people. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great gimmick, and Big E just didn't have a gimmick. So, wrestling fans, when you're kind of on par with each other as wrestlers, they're going to side with the guy who has an entertaining gimmick. So it kind of put Big E in a bad spot, but now we get to see his personality come out a little bit more, and his wrestling has improved. I mean, his suplexes are so much better than Brock Lesnar's. I mean, we should really title Big E Suplex City because they're cleaner. They get a lot more distance on them, and Lesnar's is just basically, just falling backwards and the guy landing on their neck.
Yeah. Well, that was the first match, the tag team titles. The Usos are the new tag team champions. I think they're 5-time champions now. And they could continue this feud, and I would be happy with that. I think maybe they both teams go in a little bit a different direction and they come back together because they've been working together every pay-per-view for a while now. And Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, they won their pre-show match, so maybe they move up into that against the Usos. Who knows? But yeah, great match. I think our Twitter followers gave it 5 stars. I doubt that that's what Dave gives it, but yeah, great match overall. And then
I think 4 stars pretty easily.
4 stars
at least.
Yeah. All right, the next match was Randy Orton versus Handsome Rusev. Rusev number 1, and this was right. This was a much better match than I expected, although there was not really anything to it. But I still thought it was an enjoyable, quick, probably 10-minute match.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like they went out there. Orton, I feel like was probably a little bit more into it than he normally was. I like to judge Orton matches before they happen by the flab in his stomach. If he goes out there with a semi 6-pack, you feel like the match is going to be pretty good because Orton may have taken things seriously, and he actually looked lean last night. And the story they told with the match, it was pretty physical.
Yeah.
I was expecting the crowd was dead for it, but considering what they just followed, you can't really fault them too much for that.
Right. Yep. So better match than I expected, but still, yeah, I was following that awesome Hell in a Cell match, and this was kind of to calm the fans down a little bit, and then so they can be brought back up later. But I thought they told a real good story. I thought it was a really good match, and maybe this feud continues, maybe it doesn't. Who knows who's going to go up to that next level? But yep, Randy Orton defeats Rusev with the RKO, and a really cool sequence there at the end. I really enjoyed it. Then the next match was for the United States Championship. You had Baron Corbin versus AJ Styles versus Ty Dillinger. Now, Ty was added to the match during the pregame show because he had defeated Baron Corbin on SmackDown. And the moment that I saw Ty Dillinger was getting added to this match, I was like, okay, well, Baron's going to beat Ty. That's like that's how they're getting out of this. They don't want to beat AJ because AJ's probably going to go up to the heavyweight title picture. And so Ty Dillinger, adding him to the match will A, make it a better match, and B, give somebody that Baron Corbin can beat.
Yeah, I mean, immediately when I found out, I tweeted it out that, Dillinger was in there to eat the pin. And, I think everybody saw that coming, but I got to give props to Baron Corbin. That was probably the most fun I had watching a Baron Corbin match. Just overall, I liked how, they teamed up on him. He got really mad about that because it was going to hurt his odds, and they immediately, it kind of turned into a handicap match, but Corbin really controlled the pace of the match, and it picked up as it went on, where you see Corbin dominating, and then spots start to happen, and when AJ Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, and Corbin just catches him with the right hook and drops him in midair, it was one of my favorite spots of the night. Seeing Dillinger almost pin Corbin after AJ Styles did the Pele kick and knocked Dillinger onto Corbin, it almost felt like that was going to be a cheap victory there for Dillinger to, just bury Corbin a little bit more. I was really excited when that happened. Like, it was just overall the best match I've seen Baron Corbin ever be in.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed this match. I didn't expect to because I didn't really care about the feud at all. I didn't care about the story going into this match. And really, Baron Corbin's been buried the last couple of months, and then he loses to Ty Dillinger on SmackDown. So I'm like, why would I be interested in this guy getting a title shot? But you add Dillinger to the match. I thought they all worked well together. I thought they worked great together. Loved the near falls. I love the sequence. Well, except for obviously, I didn't really want Baron Corbin to be the champion. However, if it means AJ Styles is going to go and get the heavyweight title, I guess I'm okay with it. But Baron gets the victory here when AJ Styles comes off the top rope with his phenomenal forearm to Ty Dillinger, and then Baron kicks AJ out of the ring and covers Dillinger and gets the pin. So a cheap heel pin.
He kicked the shit out of AJ out of the ring too.
And AJ just smashed down on the floor very hard, man. It looked like he was dead, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, and people forget AJ Styles, he's like 38, 39. Like he's no spring chicken, and he's taking bumps out there like he's one of these young guys. But man, it was a good match. I liked it a lot more than I expected. It was almost borderline match of the night for me. Like it was probably my second favorite match that they had last night.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. All right, and the next match was SmackDown Women's Championship. Natalya defending her title against Charlotte Flair. I guess they're going with the Flair last name. Sometimes they call her Charlotte, sometimes they call her Charlotte Flair, but I guess she's full-blown Charlotte Flair now. Charlotte Flair comes down the ring in her Ric Flair robe, which is always really cool. That's one of Ric's old robes that he wore in his retirement match against Shawn Michaels. They just kind of cut it up for her, so that's kind of like a neat tribute to her dad. But, the match was okay. I think these two can have a really good match. They were really going at it, and then I guess they didn't know how to get out of this match because Natalya just grabs a chair and just starts whacking her with it and gets disqualified.
Yeah, and honestly, I was disappointed in the match in terms of the actual quality of it, but I was basing it off of having previously seen them wrestle. I thought they could pull out something better. I think Charlotte may have actually gotten hurt last night, though. Either that or she's just phenomenal at selling because
I think she's selling.
Well, either she was just really selling and that hindered the match, or she might have gotten really hurt and it hindered the match. But if she's selling and that's kind of a story they want to go with, I mean, are they going to write her off of TV again? Maybe because she's got a book tour or something coming up. I don't know, but I was overall disappointed with the direction. I'm fine with the finish because Natalya is the heel, and you need to get a way to just keep the title on her. Well, I tell you, the match leading up.
Yeah, I'll tell you why they did it. The disqualification is because I think Charlotte's going to win it at Starrcade.
You think it's Starrcade?
Yeah, well, because it's in Greensboro. We just reviewed Starrcade '83 last week. A Flair for the Gold, where Rick won his second world title, but that was really the launching point of his career, and he defeated Harley Race in the main event of a steel cage match at Starrcade. This the WWE Starrcade, the Greensboro house show that they're doing. The co-main event is Charlotte versus Natalya in a steel cage, and I think they're going to go with the Flair for the Gold type of deal for that match.
Yeah, you know what? That makes perfect sense. So you're probably right there.
Yeah, that's why I fully expected Natalya to keep the title here. I didn't expect a cheap disqualification finish, but I guess that's what you get. But we're all disappointed because we know these two can have a really good match, and they just haven't been allowed to do that. Maybe it happens at Starrcade, but if it happens at Starrcade, I want to be able to watch it.
Yeah, it's hopefully, even if we don't get to watch it, as it happens, or even soon after, hopefully they at least record it to where they can release it on the network, a couple months or a year later as a network special, because the Starrcade lineup, and we'll get more into it at another time, but it's looking to be a really fun potential show. And doing that match in Greensboro, I mean, if that's where Charlotte is going to take the title, it could be huge. So yeah, hopefully they at least record it for us.
Hopefully. Alrighty, and the next match is for the WWE Championship. You had Jinder Mahal defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. And I gotta say, this was better than I expected, because I expected it to be dog shit terrible. I really did. I'm a huge Nakamura fan. He has not looked good since he's been up to the main roster. I think he's only had maybe 2 good matches that I've seen. One against Randy Orton, one against John Cena. This was a lot better than I expected. And the people were really into Nakamura almost winning the title. And the Singh brothers did their usual getting involved, and then, we saw it. We all could see it coming. The referee was going to kick him out. And then I thought whenever the referee was kicking him out, at that point, that's when Mahal would come behind for his, what's the name of his finish?
Man, I don't even know.
They kept saying the name of it, but I just don't know what it is. But it's basically a Cobra Clutch into a slam. And I thought that was going to be the finish, and it wasn't. And then Nakamura hits Jinder Mahal with his Kinshasa, and then he's going for the pin. The referee counts 1-2. Jinder Mahal grabs the rope, and that was a huge moment in the match. Everybody got real into that. And then Nakamura goes for it again, misses, and then Jinder Mahal hits his finish on him, the Cobra Clutch Slam, and gets the 1-2-3. I hate the fact that Mahal's the champion. His matches are not very good, but I knew he was going to keep the title, so I really had my expectations lowered going into this, mainly because I knew exactly what was going to happen, and then I knew, because Mahal's going to India, next week, and he's got to take that title with him. And he's going to do a tour of India in December, so he's keeping the belt for a while.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I mean, he's a 6-month champion right now. I mean, he won it back in April. He'll end up carrying the title at least 7 or 8 months. Kudos to you for being able to split off and still enjoy the match, because I knew what was going to happen, and I mean, the match was just absolute garbage to me because I hate Jinder Mahal. It's not even like hating him for being a heel, because I don't care about his character at all. There's nothing about his character that makes me hate him. It's just he has poor match quality, and
the interviews are not very good.
Yeah, the interviews are not good, and I don't want to just completely trash the guy, because like outside of wrestling, he comes off as a pretty good guy. But knowing that he's only where he is because, you know, Vince McMahon wants to have an Indian for the India tour, and he obviously took a bunch of steroids, and he's really buff, and that's what Vince McMahon likes. That's the only 2 reasons he's champion, and I can't separate myself from that fact, so I wasn't able to enjoy the match at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm able to separate all the gaga and all the crap and just watch the match as a whole. And I got really into the near falls because I was like, I knew that Nakamura wasn't going to win, but I still fell for the near falls whenever Nakamura was going for it. So, yeah, Jinder Mahal wins, beats him kind of almost clean. So I think that's the end of that feud. So we'll see who goes for the WWE title next. I'm still of the opinion that as soon as the India tour is over, Mahal needs to come back to the States. Braun Strowman debuts, boom, 2 seconds. Pins him, but that's just my opinion. All right, the next match was Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is doing his anti-entrance gimmick, and he went so far as his music came on, and then all of a sudden they did the record scratch halt, and then he came out to no music, and I thought that was kind of cool, something different. That's what the heels back in the 70s and 80s would do. As soon as they came out, they had no music on, and as soon as people saw their faces, they just started booing the crap out of them. I thought that was a pretty cool touch.
Yeah, it was different. I was expecting him to play something off of the Glorious gimmick to make fun of Bobby Roode a little bit, but they went with something different there. Something I haven't seen before. I mean, you brought it up talking about it in the 70s and maybe, the early 80s. For us younger fans, who haven't studied back that far, I've never seen something like that before. So kudos to them. It did get Dolph a lot of heat. The match was a little bit better than I expected. I think they've got more coming to him. I mean, obviously Ziggler hitting the zigzag right after the match, probably going to see that feud continue.
Yeah.
And given what I seen last night, I think they have something better up their sleeves. I think they can pull off a better match than we've seen.
Yeah.
And they're just going to build the story up a little bit more.
Yeah, they were kind of in a no-win situation here, being just before the main event, and they weren't given a whole lot of time, and people weren't really into the feud so much because they're just ready for the main event to come on, and plus it was going late. So whenever they came on, I honestly had forgotten that this match was still happening. I was thinking that maybe maybe they put it on the pre-show, because obviously the main event's supposed to be on right now. It was 7:40, 7:45 at this point. And no, the outcomes Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They have an okay match. Bobby Roode wins with his DDT finisher, and then like you said afterwards, Dolph Ziggler. No, he won with a roll-up and a hold of the tights. That's right.
Yeah.
And then Dolph Ziggler hit him with the zigzag afterwards, and I guess this feud will continue. But okay,
and
match.
I gotta say, these guys really need to start tanning their ass, because whenever they pull the tights and they show their ass, you can just tell how freaking spray tan they are, and it looks bad. Not saying we gotta check, but come on, man, just if you're gonna step into a spray tan booth, get everything.
I think that's a good job for you, Joe, is to go to the wrestling matches and have all the guys pull their pants down, and you check to make sure that they have tanned correctly.
I mean, if I'm getting paid well for it, might as well.
Yeah. I think that's the first time we've ever critiqued a man's butthole on this match. So his butthole wasn't tan enough for Joe's liking. So. All right. All right. And our next match is the main event. Probably, one of the biggest match in Kevin Owens' career, I would say. And main event, Hell in a Cell, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. And I gotta say, I thought it was really good. I did not think it was as good as the tag team match. However, I think this is going to be one of those matches that people are talking about for a long time because of the two huge spots and all the fighting that happened on top of the cage. Now, last week on the show, I predicted that it would be a pop-up powerbomb on top of the cage for Kevin Owens to win. The pop-up powerbomb did happen, but there was no referee up there. I was like, why wouldn't the referee climb the cage to go up there and count a pinfall? But so yeah, they made their way up on top of the cage. Kevin Owens hit him with a pop-up powerbomb and then started to climb down the cage, and then Shane McMahon climbed down with him and then hit him with some jabs and some punches and some kicks, and Kevin Owens falls off of the side of the cage, probably about 10, 15 feet up in the air, goes through a table. And then Shane McMahon crawls down, puts Kevin Owens on the English announce table, climbs all the way up onto the top of the cage, and then as he's jumping down, the big heel swerve, a classic heel swerve on us, was Sami Zayn coming to Kevin Owens' rescue, pulling him off of the table, and then Shane McMahon goes splat in front of his kids. And we have a new heel in on the SmackDown roster, and Kevin Owens gets the victory here with help from his best friend Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see where Sami Zayn goes from this, because he's been the ultimate underdog ever since he's been, even going back to NXT. I mean, he was the same character. So not just to help a heel, but for him to help Kevin Owens, of all people. And where it really hinders WWE is every time they have time to kill on a match or on a card, they just throw out Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn because it's always going to be good. So you're taking that out of your back pocket. Will we see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn become a tag team from this? I think that'd be really fun. And at some point, like Shane McMahon, like I was really worried he might have actually killed himself. Like it looked so bad. And I know we've seen it before, and I know the cell is a lot safer than when, you're back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I know the tables are a lot safer. I mean, they're more a soft plastic now as opposed to just, piece of crap wood. So it gets absorbed a little bit more. But man, it looked so bad as soon as he hit, and he wasn't moving. His arms were twitching a little bit. And I love Sami Zayn throwing Kevin Owens on top of him and yelling and making the ref count, and the ref reluctantly counting out.
Yeah, that's when you knew it was a full-blown heel turn, because before that, you would think, oh, Sammy, he's not turning heel, but Kevin is still his lifelong best friend, and he doesn't want him to die. And so at that point, you're like, okay, maybe Sammy just doesn't want him to get killed, and then maybe down the road he turns heel. But no, as soon as he picked up Kevin, threw him on top of Shane, and then grabbed the referee and shoved him down to make him do the count, that was the heel turn right there. I thought that was great. I loved everything about it. I loved the swerve, man. As far as a match goes, I think the tag team match was better, but the overall presentation of the main event, even though it went a little long for me, I was like, they went 39 minutes. I thought they could have done everything in about 25. Because it seemed like they were really stalling and really killing time here during the match. So that was my big complaint. But, you get those two big moments at the end, and then you get the Sami Zayn heel turn. You can't complain too much about it. But overall, probably 4 stars, I would say. A great match, great swerve, great angle at the end, and I'm anxious to watch SmackDown on Tuesday, which I haven't been in a long time, to see exactly where the story goes.
Yeah, and I got to say, somebody needs to teach Shane O'Mac's kids some kayfabe, because when Kevin Owens is just like beating their dad down and yelling, "I should be your role model," and they're just sitting there smiling, like, no. Yeah. You need to go back and watch what Dominic did when Eddie and Rey Mysterio were feuding, and how that kid just looked like he was in tears the whole time. That's how you need to be reacting, because your dad is getting his ass kicked right now, and you shouldn't be watching that. Somebody needs to teach those kids a lesson, damn it.
Yeah, got to teach those kids how to work, man. Yeah, I saw that too, and then after that happened, they never put the camera back on those kids. I'm like, those little shits, get those fucking kids out of here, man.
Well, they do have screenshots of them flipping off Sami Zayn, which I feel like they probably should have shown on TV. Like, that was cool for them.
Yeah. But, well, they're probably going to get grounded now.
Probably.
Yeah. But, Hell in a Cell, it's in the books, man. I'm excited to see where everything goes from here. Good storytelling, really good matches. 2 really good Hell in a Cell matches, some crazy bumps and crazy spots, and we got a new United States champion and new tag team champions. I would say, TLC, good luck to you guys. You have a really good roster over there on Raw, but this is going to be hard to beat for this month.
Yeah, I think TLC is going to have a little bit more buzz because, they'll have the debuting Asuka. They're going to have the Shield reunion. But match quality, good luck, guys.
Yep.
I mean, because it's hard to that tag title match is probably one of the best we've seen on the main roster all year. No one's going to be able to deliver a stunt like Shane McMahon did. So you're going to have to pull something out of your ass somewhere. So good luck.
Yeah. Oh, and one last thing. I thought it was really great whenever Shane McMahon was on top, or Kevin Owens is on top of the cage by himself, and Shane was on the table. And Kevin Owens, being the heel, he was too scared to jump off and go through it. I thought that was great. He was like fighting himself over the whole thing. I love that part. I forgot to mention it. So I just wanted to make sure I got that in there.
Yeah, and when he was going up there, like, part of me felt like, you know what? It makes sense if he's going to make the jump because he's younger. He's done crazy things before. If you go back and watch his match with John Cena when he went through the stack of chairs that he set up, he's did some crazy stuff back in Ring of Honor. So, seeing as like, you know what? Shane McMahon, he's in his mid to late 40s now. Maybe they're setting all this up because we think it's going to be Shane O'Mac making the jump, and then they swerve us with Kevin Owens. But I like him just refusing to. Yeah. Like trying to pump himself up. I think he hit himself in his head a couple times, and he just couldn't bring himself to do it.
I thought that was great. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But, hey, that's going to do it for our quick Hell in a Cell recap. It wasn't so quick. I was like, maybe we can get under 30 minutes, but me and Joe can just talk forever about wrestling. So be sure to check us out this Thursday on our next episode. We're going to go over all the news and notes from the world of wrestling and mixed martial arts for the week. And we'll cover the star ratings for the show. We'll see what Dave had to, Dave Meltzer. We'll see what he wrote in his Wrestling Observer about the star rating. So we'll quickly cover that, but we want to make sure to get a nice, quick Hell in a Cell recap because we both got the day off, so why not? But yep, that's going to do it for us. Follow us at the Pod Express, and I'm at Get Up Mike, and Joe, you are?
At Joe Gilbert 1992.
All righty, everybody. We'll talk to you again this Thursday. See you then. Bye.